What is true love?
Uh-huh.
Right? Does true love exist? Is there such thing as the one? If you define the terms like, is the one just one single person in the world that you're right for and everyone else is wrong for you? Or is the person that you meet at a time when both of you grow into being ready for each other and ready to sustain a healthy relationship, does that person become your one? And that's a result not of them being the only one, but they're your one, they're a one for you. That sounds a lot more right to me. And what that person does, as far as I can tell, is they give you access to quote unquote true love, if it's deep enough. They give you access to a love that's less conditional. Unconditional love is kind of a misnomer because there's still the conditions, as I said, of you being human, you know, them being of the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on your preferences, whatever it is. So there still are technically conditions, but it's a love that's freer of conditions and more absolute, more like all consuming. I love all of this person. That's a type of love that's like, again, it's just, it feels like magic. It feels like all of reality makes sense. And that's why reality is just to do that thing called like unconditional love, true love. It really does. It's just like, oh, this is what life's about. That's the feeling that I got with it. And that is a state of consciousness that's accessible by the individual. So what relationships do with a person that's the one or the one for you in this moment, they're like a key that unlocks access to that state of consciousness. And it doesn't mean that you're in that state just blissed out of your mind all day long. It just means that it's there. And when it's there, you know it. I know Mace said this on our first year at retreat. He's just like, you just know. That's what people mean when they say, oh, I just know. It's like, yeah, it's just undeniable. So how does true love relate to marriage? The one thing I can say almost definitely for sure is that it's not enough. And that's, again, one of those like harsher truths. Love is not enough for something like a marriage, which is a lifelong partnership. It just isn't. Because you could fall in love with somebody that doesn't share the same values as you, the same like overall life vision as you. There are qualities in long-term relationships that, you know, you just can't do without trust, respect, shared values to a degree, shared vision to a degree. And love is a part of that, maybe, but it's definitely not the whole thing. As you were saying that, I just had the term like true love. If we define the terms, it means the love is true. That's the truth, is that you love them. That's the truth. And when it's true, it's not false, you know, right? That's true. I love this person. And then when other factors line up, like there's also trust and respect, and you can imagine your lives together and you share values and it makes sense. And it's just like, oh, why would I not do this? Why would you not do it? It just, it becomes the obvious choice, I would imagine. And in some cases, I can also imagine it not being so obvious for certain people if there's other forces at play, emotions and maybe even trauma and things blocking their view of that. And they choose it anyway, and they grow into love over time. I can see that. Arranged marriages work, guys. Like they actually work. People just, you know, the paradox of choice is that the more choices you have, the more paralyzed we tend to be. Choice actually, in a lot of cases, has been proven to make us less happy, those who have more choices. And there have been studies on this. Those who have more choices on average tend to be less happy. So when a partner is chosen by the parents in cultures that do arranged marriages and they meet, it's like, okay, well, I got to make it work. I should learn to love this person and learn how to get good at being with them, and vice versa. And what emerges out of that is love, often. So that's something else to consider. It's like there's so many paths to the goal, and when the goal is reached, the Disneyfication of it is, people call it like true love, and it's true love. The love is true, but that doesn't mean it's your one predestined, ordained by God, one person that was designed for you forever. I had that feeling. I had that feeling without a shred of doubt. I was like, how could this person was made in a lab, custom built for me. Like, we're not together because there's other factors. So a more mature view is advised.
Can you elaborate on when the other factors outweigh that love?
When the other factors outweigh that love. So if you love somebody, but you don't trust and or respect them, I think it would be really hard to have a relationship, because a relationship, you could look at it in the same, it's obviously not the exact same thing, but you could look at a business partnership, for example. A business partnership means we have a job to do, and how good are we at doing that job together? In a relationship partnership, it means we also have a job to do. We have like a household to keep. We maybe have kids to raise. We have finances to manage. We have these logistical everyday things. And if you don't respect somebody's ability to do those things, if you don't trust them to do those things, if you don't trust them to withhold their end of the relationship, and even worse things than that, like break the relationship agreement, that just feels like poison to a relationship to me. So you could totally love that person and yet still not be able to make it work with them, and I've had the experience of loving people where we didn't have a balanced capacity, and over time that showed itself, and it just wasn't workable. At least for me personally, it didn't feel like we could collaborate on reality together and have it be as strong as it could be. Yeah.
When you say capacity, can you elaborate on that?
So capacity meaning your overall, what it literally translates to is your overall chi. Actually, it's your overall chi. So how much overall fundamental chi do you have on all levels? And it's not necessarily like all 8 bodies are exactly even, but it might be like your mental body is an 80 out of 100 and hers is a 40 out of 100, but her emotional body is like a 70 and yours is a 40. And then they just like balance each other out on the whole. And then the beauty of that is you cross train. So she gets smarter around you and you get more emotionally intelligent around her. And over time, your capacity builds together. So if you're like, what's your chi score out of 100, and you're at an 81 and she's at 54, it's going to be hard. And I don't know, like, I still think you could make it work, but if that's the case, it's tough. That's going to weigh on you and on her.